self-love is the most selfless thing you can do. Healing goes in layers. Thank them and bless them, and out the door they go.
It's Rania here, your host on The Healing Train, a podcast designed to help you lighten your load, release whatever is weighing you down, and reconnect with yourself. Whether it's a toxic relationship, childhood wounds that never healed, struggling with self-forgiveness, or on a healing journey, it's time we have these uncomfortable conversations. Let's dive deep with experts and professionals in psychology, health and wellness, and alternative healing, and also ordinary people that have been there. It may just be the fresh perspective you need to support your journey. You could even be a guest on this show. This is a space for sharing stories, a safe stop where you can pause, recharge, and know you're not alone. So take a deep breath, settle in, and join me on today's ride as we explore the path to healing together. Hop on board the healing train. On today's episode on the Healing Train podcast, let's meet with Lina, an intuitive empowerment painter with a deep connection to spirituality and self-development. Lina creates art that awakens your soul, channeling energy, intuition, and deep spiritual themes onto canvas. Through her work, she invites viewers to reconnect with themselves, embrace their inner world, and experience soul-deep empowerment. At Sweden's largest spiritual and alternative wellness fair, she painted intuitive energy portraits that deeply moved participants, many recognizing personal symbols, meaningful places, and even their favorite colors appearing on the canvas. Whether through personal commissions or her broader artistic explorations, Lina's work serve as a portal to self-discovery, transformation, and abundance. Hello, Lina. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Lina, I'm so excited for us to get into our talk today. But first, as I'm used to, I like to start our episode with a quotation that you're going to find very meaningful. So let me share it with you and the audience today. It is by Vishika Jain, and it says, "Sometimes healing isn't about fixing everything that's broken. It's about accepting the pieces that will never be the same and learning to live with them. It's about finding peace within the chaos and strength within the pain." How do you like that quotation, Lina?
It's very, very beautiful, and I love how life delivers synchronicities when we need them, because I have been pondering on this concept recently myself. And something that I believe in and what I can see is like we're always chasing to fix ourselves. And I feel like this quote really beautifully delivers the fact that we actually don't need to be fixed, because there's ultimately nothing that is wrong with us.
Yeah.
So I feel it's good to have awareness, but also self acceptance is so important. So not being in this chase for next thing we need to fix within ourselves, but also embrace the parts as whole and complete, and just accept ourselves and love ourselves with the parts. I think it's so important, and that quote really beautifully described that.
You're absolutely right. And I feel that it's a perfect introduction to the misconceptions that we're going to be sharing today with our audience. I was so excited when you and I had our talk, and somehow it just led into us talking about the trap that people fall into and all these beliefs. We don't even know where they come from, and they become myth and misconceptions that we live our lives by. And we end up being stuck by those beliefs, right? It affects our lives, it affects our decisions, it affects our emotions, all of it. So I'd like for you to start sharing with us the top 5 misconceptions that you've prepared for us today that we need to bring to people's attention. Let's start poking holes in those beliefs and concepts, if you will.
Yes. So being a creative and an artist myself, I think like the first one that many of us, and especially creative people, that struggle with is the starving artist myth. And this is crazy because creativity is the joy of life. It is the spice. We cannot live without it.
Mm,
And yet we don't see or think that there is value. So we are so valuable in our creativity, and we think that we cannot support ourselves from it. And this is something that happened with me is I didn't believe that I could be an artist. So I have tried so many things of forcing myself into be somebody I am not.
mm,
And I had burnout after burnout after burnout after burnout until I'm like, you know what? I'm so far away from myself
mhm,
that I have nothing else is to actually try to do the thing that I love, because it's like you come to this point is like I have nothing more to give. Like my soul is so drained that there is nothing else to chase, to fix, to form, and then you start to align with your truth.
mhm,
And it's only one way up from there. It's so beautiful and it's amazing when you truly step into your own power of who you're supposed to be. All the doors are opening, and it makes me just, I feel like, why haven't I done this
mhm,
sooner? Why did I think that I couldn't support myself from creativity? And that is such a myth, because I also believe things will be hard if it's not your path.
mm,
So you really need to know what is your path and believe in it. And believe in your creativity. Believe that it will support you, because it will. Eventually it will. But you have to believe in it first.
mhm, mhm. All right, let's move on to the number two. Number two, the second misconception.
I would title it as the myth of business burnout. Like for my upbringing was something like, no, you shouldn't explore being your own um, businesswoman or having your own business, because you will always constantly be working. You
Mm,
will not have the time for yourself, and you will be drained and you will be exhausted, and you won't have sick leave, you won't have vacation leave. And the thing is, there is some form of truth to
mm,
it,
mhm.
because you do work more,
Yeah,
but you work more from excitement.
because it's for yourself, right? And the
Yes,
outcome is just beautiful.
yes, like I have been doing so many things that are hard for me, things that I'm not maybe was interested in. And I was actually speaking to this with my family, and I was like, oh my god, if I had been doing this for somebody else, this is so boring and it's so hard and it's so uninteresting. But now that I actually do this for myself, this is my baby, this is exciting, it is fun, I understand it, I built something. So, yes, you will work a lot, but oh my god, it's so much fun. It is so much fun. It's almost like addictive.
Mhm.
So, I can sometimes work until 11, 12, or even 1 in the night,
Yeah,
but I forget about the time because
yeah,
I'm building my own thing. I have the choice, I have control. I can sit like, what font? How do I want my brand to be? What do I want to say? And that is so much fun.
yeah.
But then also, I have the freedom to be like, you know what? I want to wake up at 12 during the day, because I work until 12 or 2, whatever, in the
Right.
night. So there is another form, and there is another thing that at least I haven't been taught. And when I listen at other entrepreneurs, is and that actually goes into third misconception,
Okay.
which is rest is lazy,
Mm,
because we think we have to work all the time.
mm.
And
Produce,
that
produce, right?
exactly,
Get through
but
your
that is
to-do lists. Did you do your to-do list today? It's like life isn't a to-do list for God's sake. I mean, it's good to have a guideline, right? To have an idea of what we need to go through, but you know what? If it doesn't get done today, there's always tomorrow.
Exactly. Like for me, how I grew up, it was like, if you can do everything today, do today because tomorrow is not given. So I was like, oh my God, I need to cramp everything in today. And so I had to relearn myself.
Yeah.
And what this is what I realized, like nature is my biggest inspiration. Nature goes in seasons, and so are we.
Yeah.
So, and that is the same thing with like successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Nobody works on repeat. Either you have, and that is the thing, you have to make your own structure. Like you have to understand your own nature and your own rhythm, because
Yeah.
some people maybe want to rest during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, okay, I work a little bit, I rest a little bit. Other people, they don't take rest at all. They just work, 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 work. But then it comes the time when I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be off now for a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is the thing, like the rest is the most productive thing you can have in your business.
Yep.
So when you understand that rest is productive, that it's healthy, you have to take care of yourself. And that is the other thing I had with my friend is like, yeah, but you're not, I said sometime like, I'm tired. And that is like the most of us think like, yeah, but you're building your business. So, or something, what people say is,
Right.
you can sleep when you're dead. Oh, you're building your business, you have to work all the time, like this is the normal. And
Who
which
made
I
it normal? And that's the question, Lina. Where did these ideas come from? What normalized those statements that are being made? And everybody's making them in every culture, in every parts of the world. That part about you'll sleep when you're dead, like that's a common statement that is being made. Where did they get this idea from, you think?
I have actually been like me and ChatGPT are besties, so I'm like,
Okay.
please explain this to me, where did this come from?
Okay.
And the answer I've got is like, uh, with industrialism. And that does make sense because I'm very inspired of how we lived before.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking like many, many years ago, we came from tribes. We do need support system.
Yeah.
We lived once with nature. We were farmers. And that's also like when people were farmers, was living one with nature, you had natural rest because there is a time when you grow and produce and put in the work, but then the crops or whatever, they're resting. So
Mhm.
you're resting because there's nothing else to do.
So
And
rest
then
was pretty much enforced by the nature of life.
exactly, exactly. But then industrialism came, the production, and here we completely lost the wisdom,
Yeah.
when rest is the most productive thing you can do, because when you are not aligned, sure you can produce, but how many times have we been producing things and they're not correct? Like you can do a lot of things,
Yep.
but you can do like one right thing and get great results, or you can do 10 things and you're like, yeah, I'm productive, but you haven't come anywhere. And so sometimes you be like rest, but as also rest will be enforced on you, like either through burnout or things will crash. It will be like, hello, I think you forgot rest. And then we think it's like the worst thing ever, but it's actually the best thing for us.
Well, for me, Lina, I can definitely relate and tell you that when I pushed myself too far, beyond my limit, I would get sick, right? And
100% same.
sickness is a sign of burnout and overworking and need to rest. So if you're not going to do it, guess what? The universe is going to make you do it, right? I have a friend of mine as well, dear friend of mine, that she also was go, 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 working, working, working. And I think an accident happened for her where she couldn't use her wrist and she had to rest it. Now she was off work for a few months because
Mm,
she couldn't use her wrist. That was again the universe's way of forcing rest upon you.
100%, 100%. And I want to even go a little bit deeper on this concept. So I'm also thinking I've hurt my shoulder
Yeah.
on my right side. And
Okay.
the right side is the power side, is the giver side, and the left side is the receiver side. So I was like, on the right side, I give too much, I produce too much. So
Mhm.
it's also like body is so intelligent. It
Yeah.
would it will tell you where it's in pain, so
Yeah.
you can readjust and course correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lina, you're self-aware and you are educated about those things because this interests you. So you were able to pick up on the sign, right? Like you were able to self-reflect and quickly you got your answer, right? About your left side and right side. What about people who aren't aware about those things? What can they do if they don't know the meaning behind of what's happening to them?
Oh, that is such a great question. And it's a hard question also, because reflection is key. So if you're not have the ability to self-reflect, then you definitely need some form of support system. Either it's go to a friend or listen to a podcast or go to therapy, somebody that can actually be like, okay, this is what I see.
Mm,
Because sometimes we're so inside of our own things,
yeah.
and as we also talk, it's like busy, 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 we don't have time to self-reflect. But you
Yeah.
have to be also open to receive the information.
Yeah.
If you don't have the opportunity to maybe go for a professional, or maybe you lack support that is needed, I would say journaling is like one of the greatest tools, because then you can put your thoughts onto paper and you can actually see what you have written.
Yeah.
But that's again, self reflection is definitely key, and being able to look at the uncomfortable things because they are uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Like seeing that, oh, you know what, I'm actually a people pleaser, or a lack of boundaries, or I give too much. It's not something fun to look at. Like it's hard, it's uncomfortable,
Mm.
but that's also what gives you the opportunity to move forward.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I like that. Thank you for suggesting those things. And I guess from there, people can do some research. I mean, we have technology at our fingertips. It's so easy to ask a question online if you don't know what it means, why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. But having said that, let's be mindful not to go down a rabbit hole, right? And start
Mm,
thinking of all the things that are wrong with us, right? And
100%.
it can lead us to a worse place. So it needs to be
Yeah.
a balance. At the end of the day, let's try to find a balance. Don't ignore the things that are happening. Don't brush them off and say, that's normal. It happens to everybody. No, see why is it happening for you or to you, right? And investigate, ask questions, read,
Mm,
listen, find a support system like you said, go to a coach, a therapist, whatever that you feel comfortable with, to ask those questions that you need answers to that may not make sense. And not
yeah.
everything is a medical issue. Some medical issues, and of course I am not saying to anyone that if you get a medical thing that it's unrelated to medical. It could very well be a serious thing. So please do check it out. Go to the proper professional and medical help. But there are times when something seems it's a medical issue, but it could just be because of stress, because of inflammation, because of you not being on a proper diet, because you're not resting enough. It's amazing what lack of sleep can do to you, to your body, and to your organs' functions. And if you only really dig into it, you'll understand the connection between all of them. Your emotional,
Mm,
your well-being, all that is connected. I love that we
100.
talked about this. I really love poking holes in the misconception, rest is lazy. It is not. You do need to rest in order to be productive, in order to rest, to allow your creativity to flow through you if you're an artist or a creative, right? Without rest, you're going to eventually run on empty. And as even though you can push yourself to do things, but you may not do them 100%. You're not
Mm,
going to do them the best way you could have done it if you had just taken a few minutes or an hour or a nap in the middle of the day. You know, back to naps. I love naps now. Being in North America, I don't think there's a belief here in napping. The napping syndrome doesn't exist. Since I've been in Europe a lot and I've, been influenced by the napping, right? The siesta time. It's amazing what a 1 hour rest, if you can, obviously, if you're at work and you're unable to do this, that's a different story. But if you are someone who has flexibility and you can just take an hour to shut your eye, even if you don't completely go to deep sleep, just resting your mind, resting your body, close your eyes, that just right there can rejuvenate you. You know,
mm,
I'm talking from personal experience. When I take a nap, I could do so much more after. And for me, I mean, I know some people say you shouldn't take a nap later on in the day when you're about to go to sleep anyway. But for me, and I'll speak from personal experience, I've gone and taken a nap at 7 p.m. and I'd woken up at 8 and I got the most productive 2 hours after that and went to sleep again for the rest of the night. It didn't stop me. But again, that's me. I was able to do it. But what I'm trying to share here is that with people who have misconceptions again, that hey, if I pass like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, then there's no point me taking a nap because nighttime is coming anyway. So what are you gonna do in those hours up until it's bedtime? You're gonna suffer, your eyes are shutting, your brain is shut. What are you gonna do? You're unproductive anyways. You might as well go take
mm.
that 1 hour nap anyway, even if it is towards the end of the day. And then when you get up, you will work and you will be productive and then go sleep again, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Such a great, and that's something that I should be better on because I have been there. I was like, I'm tired, but I don't want to go to sleep because I want to go to sleep early.
Yeah.
So it
You're
was such a
limiting
great
yourself.
advice.
You're limiting yourself. Where did the rule come from that, oh, if it's past that time, then you can't go to take a nap? Said who? Who decided
Mm,
this? It's one thing if you know that if you were to take a nap at that time, your body cannot adjust and sleep through the night and you'll be awake through the whole night. You know your own body. So everyone decides based on their body. But what I'm talking about here is the general idea that we stop ourselves from doing something and testing it to see if it will even work for us or not. We already decided it's not the right thing to do just because you're not supposed to, because the result will be that I can't sleep at night. How do you know? Did you try? Did you give it a try before saying that? Or that's because what other people are saying,
mm.
right? They're going,
That's a really great shift in perspective. I really love that.
yeah,
And also, like, I have been thinking about a lot of animals, and this also like goes in alignment with there are so many animals that having their own rhythm. Some are slow. Like I have been very inspired by sloths right
yeah,
lately,
yeah,
and they're like super chill and super lazy, and yet they're supported, you know. So when I'm looking at the animal kingdom, everything exists. We have somebody that is working from a really fast pace, some
yeah,
are slower, but everyone are thriving. So why do we think humans that we have only this
yeah,
mold that fits everybody? So this is so perfect that you found your own inner rhythm that
yeah.
works for you, that you're honoring, and that is, yeah, I think that's how we're supposed to actually live and thrive as well as humans, is understanding our own needs and body and rhythm, and just following and honoring that.
Speaking of the animal kingdom, as you were speaking, I just remembered when I was on a tour once, um, and I was watching the lions during the day. The lions are sleeping. The lions were walking around, they eat and then they sleep. But let's even talk about the wild. If they're out there in the wild, they're doing the same thing. When they're hunting, they're looking for their food, and then afterwards, they're resting. They're gathering up their energy for the next hunt, right?
Exactly.
So us as human beings, let's think about it. We sometimes wake up like super early. Some people start the day at 5 in the morning, and they're go go go. They go to work, they come back, they have kids to take care of, they gotta go to activities, they gotta cook laundry, this that, and then they're like in bed by, let's say, 10, 11, 12 sometimes. And that's what, 18 hours at least you're on your feet, and you're expected to be going and going and going like an energizer battery. Now I'm thinking about the commercial, just going and going.
We're living actually a rhythm that is not natural. Like, take for instance, the same thing like raising a child. Like, there is a saying, like, it takes a village to raise a child, and that is
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we need a support system. And now like, we have to do everything on our own, and
yeah,
also having careers.
yeah.
And how, okay, you can have a career, you're always at work, how can you be a present parent? So there is so much pressure on us, and there is so much achievement that is actually not possible to make. Like, you wasn't supposed to do it all,
Yeah.
because we're humans, we're not robots, we're not machines.
Mm-mm. Mm.
And this is also goes so beautiful in my next
Yes.
misconceptions, which is actually about self-love is selfish. And which, so when we are flying,
Mhm.
usually the flight attendants always say, put your own mask first
Yep.
before you put it on the child. Why? Because if you die, you cannot take care of your child. So,
Exactly.
okay, but why don't we do this in our daily life? And that's also ties back about when I was speaking, like building your business, and also about resting, is which I think is, sure, I could be producing and I could be working more,
Mm.
but what if I get burnt out? Who will take care of my business? If
Mhm.
I don't take care of myself,
Mhm.
I will not be able to take care of my community. I will not be able to spread the love and joy that I do through my art and through my knowledge. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like, if you will break, you will not be able to be your best
Mhm.
radiant self. So it is your duty. So actually, if you flip on it,
Mhm.
self love is the most selfless thing you can do, because when you're happy,
Mhm.
everyone is happy because you're shining, and that creates a ripple effect. Because when you meet somebody that is happy,
Mhm.
you will become happy too, right?
Yeah.
And it's nice. You have a wonderful exchange.
Yeah.
So that is actually how we uplift the planet together, by you loving yourself. But we feel so guilty of it. But
Mm.
that is actually the best gift you can give to humanity.
Mm. Mm. A brief stop at a station. If you have a story to share and feel called to tell it, if you want to share your expertise on this show, please send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. To join me on a journey of healing and recovery, connect with me. My calendar link is in the description. This show is proudly sponsored by Say It Out Loud GG, led by the inspiring Judith Diaz, an avid change maker and passionate advocate for speaking up and raising awareness. The Healing Train podcast is honored to have her support. Now let's get back to the show. That's a big topic for me, the self love misconception that is being selfish, because in different dynamics it's being used. And I can bring in my perspective with toxic relationships, since I've had experience with toxic relationships, and I talk about that in many of my episodes and my guests. And one of the things that is uncovered is that the same people who want to take from you, The moment you set the boundary and tell them, no, I'm taking care of myself because this is self love, they are the same ones that are going to call you selfish. So let's find where it comes from and who is saying it. The person that's going to tell you you're being selfish, dig, figure out what are they gaining by you not loving yourself, because the gain will not be for you, it will be for the other person.
Well, when you take care of yourself, there's a quote that I saw that I really loved. It says, the people you should give your energy to are the people who support you when you are in your power.
Right.
So when somebody tells you you're selfish, thank them and bless them, and out the door they go. Because it is so easy. Because people who love you,
Mm.
they would not have that problem. So that is also when you taking care of yourself and you loving yourself, the only ones who will have the problem are the one who wants to use you.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they can't, why do you want to have people who are interested in using you?
Well, you're absolutely right, Lina. And I agree with strangers who come into our lives. We can kick them to the curb, but what about when it's family? What about
Yes.
when it's your partner? What about when it's your child that has a
Mm,
grown adult child who's telling their mom or dad that they're being selfish because they said, no, sorry, I can't babysit your kid today because I'm not feeling well. And then
mm,
the adult child says, oh, why are you being so selfish? You should be there for me. I need you. Why aren't you being a mother the way I need you? Like there are adult children who are talking this way to their parents and guilting them and shaming them and telling them that they're being selfish because they said no, I need to take care of me.
such a great question, and it's such an important topic. But if you're adult, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You should be able to take care of yourself.
Right.
If you're an infant, it's something else,
Yeah.
but you're an adult now. And I have been, because I talk about it from my own experience as something that I had to think and overcome. And one of the things that I have been, because I am a recovering people pleaser, so I do understand how, how hard this is.
Yeah.
And something that I have told to myself is I am okay to disappoint people.
Yes. Yes. There's another quote that now I can't remember exactly how it went, but it's something around I am okay being the villain in someone else's story, because they're gonna talk
Exactly.
bad about you and say that person this and that person that, all simply because you said no, you set your boundary, and you were showing yourself love, respect, right? Worthiness.
Mm,
You were saying no, right? You were taking care of you.
mm,
And a lot of times this is what you will face when you take care of you. You will be called selfish. You will be
mm.
called heartless. They will say, why did you change? Damn right I changed. I realized that I gotta take care of me, because if I don't, who will?
Yes. And there's also like so many misconceptions about this topic as well. Because we can also misconcept self-love from narcissism, for
Yeah,
instance. Like,
yeah,
I'm putting a boundary, but it's an expectation. Like,
yeah.
it's a very big difference between saying this is where I stand
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I accept and this is what I not accept,
Yeah.
and start to demanding and say, oh, this is
Mhm.
self-love. So it's like every aspect has a light and shadow aspect.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you need to be careful. Does it really come from self-love
Mm-hmm.
or does it come from expectation? Because then it's something different.
Yep.
So when it comes to self-love, it's about the self,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm comfortable to do, what I'm not comfortable to do, and you stand with it, and you are okay how other people react around you. That is being in your power.
Yep.
But then when you want to change somebody else, that is a different story.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I love that you just made that clarification at the end. That just Mic drop, girl. Mic drop. Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our last misconception, number
Yes.
5.
Yes, so the last one is the external versus internal reality. And this one, oof, this one is the hardest one, but the most important one.
Mm,
And that is thinking that we are not creators of our own life. And it is so easy to blame things or looking at the external reality and not being in our own power to be like, oh, it's this person or it's this job or it's money or whatever.
mm, mm,
But and it's easy to think so, but we are the creators of our own reality, and we are much more powerful than we think. So yeah, it's like understanding that life is happening from us
mm,
and not the other way around. And I have been experiencing those shifts because I have been starting to shift my own mindset and my own vibration,
yeah.
where I have seen gifts and invites, and
Mm,
I was like, whoa, so this happens from me. I'm not the one who's waiting for the life to catch up. Um, because I have been listening to a man, and he gives such a great example, and he says, the external reality or the world is the same as you're standing in front of a mirror and looking at yourself, and you're saying, well, I will not smile until the mirror smiles.
mm, mm.
And the mirror will never smile because it starts from you. So it's like, you know what? It's like being happy is a choice.
Yeah, yeah,
And the funny thing is, when you're choosing happiness, happiness chooses you. So it's like, it's kind of goes in a circle,
yes,
but it always starts from you. So if you wait, you will wait forever.
absolutely. That's a big one. The happiness. It's sorry, I don't mean to cut you off from your point. Please remember your thoughts. But I just want to talk about that happiness misconception. People are so caught up in the you make me happy statement. I should call it a syndrome, to be honest.
Mm,
Oh, why are you with me? I'm with you because you make me happy. No, for God's sake, nobody could make someone else happy. You are happy, and then you share that happiness with another person who's also happy. Because if that person isn't happy that you're dealing with,
mm.
and they are in a bad state, they're gonna bring you down, even if you were happy.
Exactly. I was thinking about this yesterday about relationships when we like it's so easy for us to complain,
Yeah,
but then I was like, but you chose this person. Why? Like it's so interesting because also like we do more for other people.
yeah,
But if our partners ask, oh, why are you asking me? Can't you do this yourself? And I'm like, but you chose this person to want to be with. It shouldn't be like you wanting to do this for your partner, because I feel like we get in this state when first is everything is just lovey-dovey and
yeah,
everything is perfect, and then like, oh, you're not making me happy, and then we start to complain.
yeah,
But which is, I started to think about it, is actually crazy,
yeah,
because we thought this person was special, and we chose this person, and then somewhere down the line we just got either bored or used to it, so we lost appreciation. And I think that's another thing, is everything is amazing in the beginning because you are in appreciation state,
yeah.
and everything loses its magic because you don't appreciate things anymore.
Mhm,
So you can always have great relationships
mhm,
no matter how long it goes, but just not forgetting like why did you choose this person? And then of course people can outgrow one another, and that's normal too, because we go into different stages, and
Mhm.
sometimes we evolve more than the other person. But what I have realized is just, as we spoke about, when you are your own source of happiness,
Yes.
you're also the one that is very, very hard to screw over, to be honest, because you are your
You're taking
own.
responsibility. Like everyone should take responsibility for their own happiness. And I wish this can be taught in school.
100%, 100%.
Because
I was
it's not the job that's gonna make you happy. It's not your partner that's gonna make you happy. It's not having money and material things that's gonna make you happy. It's great to have a nice laptop, a nice phone, a nice everything, nice clothes. Great. These are nice to have. But they're not what makes you happy, because guess what happens after you attain the high job title, after you attain the big house and the amazing car and the this and the this and the this? What happens after that? Happiness is like,
Yeah,
oh, now you have them. Now you're going after the next thing to see what else can make
100%.
you happy. So you're never truly happy. You're never fulfilled. Fulfillment doesn't come from your external world. And that brings us back to our misconception number 5, the external versus the internal. It's we don't need anything outside of us, happiness being one of them. And I also believe validation for who we are, and to get attention from others, that doesn't give us the self-worth, right? That's the next topic. I'm sure you'd want to talk about our self-worth, right?
Yeah, like uh, before on that, well, I wanted to say I listened to a guy named Julian. Maybe you know him. He's very famous,
Mm,
but he says, and that is actually goes on the self worth part.
mm,
Is he said, like, when my daughter comes to me with a drawing or whatever she did, and I do not say what a great job you did.
mm,
I ask her, how do you feel about it? Because then she can put internal, like, how do I feel about this? Because if, and I think maybe this is something that's taught to us when we are very, very young, to be like, look at this, how do you feel? So we are so used to get that validation from the external. Please validate me, please see me.
yes,
But we forget, how do I feel about this?
yes,
Do I like it?
yes.
Does this makes me happy?
Mhm.
So those are questions we don't ask. It's just like, just let me know that I did a good job. But
Mm.
do I think I did a good job? So it's also starts with the self, because we are the ones who can validate us. Because even when people tell us what we want to hear, if we still don't believe in that, it still will not provide us that sense of happiness or fulfillment that we crave. So we just go to next person or the next project. But it's always like in the chase mentality.
Totally. And that leads me to trauma, Lena. Trauma can now be present as a result of the withholding or the lack of that external validation, whatever it is that you're trying to get from the external source, right? If, let's say, you were getting that validation from a parent or from a teacher or from someone at work that you did a great job, and you're always looking to get that, bravo, you did a great job. And then all of a sudden it stops and say, oh, how was that? Do you like that? Do you like that? You're looking for it, right? And then it doesn't happen, or you're met with more of a criticism. Then what happens to us? We're now traumatized.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing something new to me.
You're very welcome. And I can tell you that this comes from my studies from narcissism, right?
Mm,
I didn't even know what narcissism was just in 3, 4 years ago. I didn't even know what, never even heard that word until I experienced it firsthand. And I studied it and understood it very clearly. And that's what the love bombing stage is all about. They love you intensely in the beginning, where they make you feel that you're on cloud nine and that you've met your soulmate, and they see you, they understand you, they have everything in common with you, and you are the best thing that ever happened to them, and vice versa. And then the abuse starts, where they withhold that love. So it traumatizes you. When something is given from an outside source that you needed it, and then it's withheld or substituted by the opposite, belittle you, demean you, make, you know, derogatory comments about you, then it shatters you. And this is how trauma is formed, because the wound that you sustain from that type of behavior, of the roller coaster ride of, I love you, but then
Mm,
I'm making fun of you. It's like, which one is it? So you're always trying to please the person, because what are you after? You're after that safety. You're after that love. You're after that good feeling to, for your hormones to kick in, all of your happy hormones to kick in, right? The chemicals in your brain. So what do? You try to please the person and do everything they need, just so you could hear the good words that you once heard, just so they can treat you with all that love and attention that they once gave you in the beginning, because you got addicted to it, but now they're withholding it. And that's trauma,
mm,
right? So I'm explaining this right now simply to relate to the point I just made about the validation. Generally speaking, we're not even talking about narcissism and toxic relationships right now, just generally speaking. If someone is so used to getting approval and validation that they did a good job from when they were young, and they carry it with them through school. They're seeking it from their teachers. Then they continue on at work. They're seeking for that validation from their employers and their colleagues. They're always going to be seeking that external validation, because that's how it began, from their upbringing, from home. But when we do the shift, like you were talking about earlier, which is start shifting the way we raise our children, and instead of giving them that validation of, oh, great job, I mean, it's good, of course, that we give the compliments, but allow the child to get that validation from their inner self, which is, how do you feel about it? How do you like your drawing? How does it make you feel? You know, was it difficult to do? Let them talk about the process. Then
mm,
these are the type of children we are raising into the new world, that they will no longer be seeking validation from their teachers, whether the teacher tell them they did a good job or not, whether they got an A or a B or a C. They know they did their best. You know, whether they are at work and they did a project that their boss couldn't care less to tell them you did a good job. Sometimes even worse, the boss takes credit for their employees' work and they get promoted, but the little employee who did the work, stayed up all night figuring out whatever it is they're gonna do, gets nothing in the end. What does that do? Trauma.
mm.
Trauma. We don't realize that most of these misconceptions that we are talking about here, and I'm glad that we are covering them, most of them, they can cause trauma without realizing.
I think we all have trauma, but I think it's also careful to shield behind your trauma, because I think we all have our pain, which is inevitable, but also how we relate and how we want to move forward, I think is very important, because it's easy to say, well, this happened to me, and this person did this to me, and I have trauma now, because that is also, I'm not saying that that didn't happen and that wasn't painful, and I'm not trying to diminish the experience,
Mhm.
but what we can happen is it's easy to shield and not doing the work that you need to move forward,
Mhm.
because we all have pain, all of us,
You're absolutely
but
right.
different.
And that's why there's shows like the one I'm doing. I'm hoping that it does help educate, raise awareness, bring to our attention the things that we need to discuss, to open our eyes to if we've been blinded to it. And then It is now everyone's responsibility, exactly like you said, not to stay in that using it as an excuse, right? Because, oh, well, I was raised that way. Well, okay, now what are you going to do about it? So, what we're trying to
Exactly.
say is to stop the victimhood, get out of victimhood mentality, and start taking accountability, go through whatever inner work you got to do, heal. You got to do the healing necessary so then you can become empowered and know what to do and do the
Yes.
mind shift, the mindset shift and all of that.
Yes, because your trauma could also be somebody else's burden. We can also put our traumas and be like, okay, you have to change, and you have to fix and mold yourself because this and this and this and this and this and this makes me uncomfortable. And sure, you can do that, but also that is the whole point, is we cannot force the world to change around us.
No, no, we can't anyway.
It's our responsibility, as you said, to do the inner work and heal those parts of ourselves, so and look at it so we can move forward and live healthy lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to recap quickly your 5 top misconceptions. So we have the starving artist myth, the myth of business burnout, rest is lazy, self love is selfish, and the external versus internal reality. These were great points, Lina. Thank you for sharing. Why do you think these misconceptions are so widespread?
Oh, what a great question. I think it's a lot of fear, but it's a lot of disempowerment, of
Mm,
thinking that we have to prove ourselves, looking outside of ourselves, that we are not enough
mm,
and that we cannot accomplish things that we want and that we are not in charge of our own life.
mm. So now that we have recognized some of those misconceptions and know where they're coming from, how do we break free?
I think kindness, and also recognize where you are on your journey, because one of the things is that we will never be really, I would say, truly free, because we are human beings and healing goes in layers,
Mm,
and we always um, learn new things about us. So I think it's so important to learn how to dance with our own shadow and with our own pain.
mm,
And instead of just seeing that this is something that is flawed or something that needs to be fixed, rather than this is a part of me and I love it regardless, embracing, I would say, embracing our human experience,
mm,
embracing the things that have shaped us.
mm,
I think it's really important, because the more we reject those parts of us, the more they become painful and we fear them.
mhm,
But when we just look at them and be like, I'm ready to sit with you, that's when they're no longer in control of us. So I think it's just part of the journey. So just lean into the human experience. But, and also, I would say the power of community is so important, to know that you are not alone,
mhm.
to know that you, as we spoke before, having the community that you feel that you are seen and you're validated, and you have, when you can talk in a safe environment, that is so so crucial for your growth, because we're not meant to be alone and we're not meant to do this alone. So having nurturing community where we can share and hold one another is also very very healing and very very empowering.
That's beautiful. Lina, would you say that your journey to being an artist now, painting intuitive energy portraits, has something to do with a journey of healing that you've personally been on?
I would say I work as a mirror, and my work work, both my paintings and the energy portraits are a mirror into your soul. And it's a very transformative experience because, and definitely it's my own healing journey, because we talk about trauma and we talk about pain, which I have good experience on about.
Mm.
And I also feel there's so much love that I see in people, and that comes across in paintings, because when I do paint the person, I see them wholly and completely, and the feedback that I have received is, you see me fully in my being with my shadow and light. And I'm so grateful for it, because that is my whole essence, is I work very holistically.
Yeah.
And I think healing comes is when you see the human being as a whole. And that's why it is both healing, but it is a mirror of who you are and how you express yourself. So I show all the aspects that I see, and if I see that there is something that maybe I can give you advice on, something that you can work with, I do so when I write
Mm-hmm.
the descriptions of the symbolical meaning of the painting, so I could also give like a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very loving, and where people feel very seen, and that is very transformative, because I don't think that we truly see ourselves, and we don't have a society that fully see us for who we are. And by being fully seen, that's how we integrate into transformation.
That is so beautiful. Now I wishing I can get a painting done for me to see what's going on with me that I need to heal and work on, because I'm pretty sure there's still more for me to work on. So you would say an art piece can serve as a portal to self-discovery, right?
Yes. And it depends, of course, if you are buying a piece that already made, or it's custom personalized paintings, because this is my life, and this is how I live and practice, and I breathe what I say and what I do.
Yeah.
So the things that I go through, I usually receive visions of different areas of life. So when people look at them, they do see power, but it's also different aspects. So I do have, for instance, a painting that is called The Divine Feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and that is by being in our power. There is a woman that is part woman, part cherry blossom tree,
Mm-hmm.
and the light radiance down and then out through her roots. So I work a lot of with symbolism, but it's also a way like language. When you look at the painting, you understand the concepts, and different people are called to different things, because on energetic level your soul resonate with the concept. So you see it and you remember it, and it unlocks something within you. It's like a remembrance of the concept. So it is still like a portal for transformation. And when it comes to my custom work, it's very, very personal. But as I said, like for me, my work is so much infused with love that people, they just cry because they feel seen. I'm not the person who shame. And for me, that's why I see you as a whole radiant being that actually doesn't need to do the work. You just need to be seen and accepted for who you are. And that's my custom energy portraits, because they see the different, like every color representing their unique blueprint. And then I talk about it and how I feel. Like, for instance, I can give an example. When we think maybe person is not as expressive, right? And we think, oh, this is not something nice. I'm not outgoing. I'm shy or whatever. This is not how I see it. I could say like, oh, this is this color. I see a reserved energy, but I also see how you may be the person who think more. You want to, so people feel truly seen. It's never there is something is wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how they operate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like their unique animal blueprint for
Yeah.
who they are, and they feel accepted. And I think that's what we all want to be. We want to feel accepted for our uniqueness and not being shamed for it. And so my art give that permission for people to feel seen.
I love that. I truly love
Thank you.
that. The word, two words came to my mind as you were speaking: pure essence.
Exactly.
It's exactly what came to my mind. I just, as you were talking, I'm thinking, your pure essence.
Exactly. Because you are perfect the way you are. You was always have been, and you always will be.
Then there's our personality that shows up in the world, and that's how we are perceived and how we behave and how we talk. But who we truly are, if we were to just know ourselves and
Exactly.
be more in touch with that and not to be too consumed with our personality and how we show up. And maybe the two
But
can be.
also,
Yeah. Mhm.
isn't that exciting? I was thinking about it, like when we think we need to be good, we need to be good. But sometimes you want to be raw and unapologetic, and that is amazing also. Like, isn't life exciting with all of it?
Yeah.
To be the monster sometimes that we are, like, of course, not hurting other people,
Right.
but there's so much excitement when we haven't you feel like sometimes you're like like this, and they're like, oh my god, today I have been too much, but you felt great. And I think that is like this permission to
Yeah.
have all of it, because that is the juice of life, the
Mm.
flavor of life, the spice of life, to have it all, light and shadow. And that's why for me, I'm in love with the human experience, even with pain, because
Yeah.
it gives our perspective.
Totally. Totally. I'm with you on that. Oh my God, Lena. I just love talking with you. And I'm so grateful that you and I connected in the oddest ways that we did. And you're all the way from Sweden, and I'm all the way here in Canada. But here we are having this beautiful conversation, hoping that someone out there is benefiting from what we discussed here today, is resonating, maybe take some action to do some mindset shifts, perhaps, or just some self reflection, even. Just start there. Journaling, maybe. Just ask the questions, investigate. But as far as your art is concerned, it is beautiful. And please do share. How can someone connect with you?
Yes, so I am on most of the platforms, so it's most easy to just search for SULGA.art. Have it on my Instagram, but you can also just search for SULGA art. I
Perfect.
have an Etsy shop, and I'm also on Facebook, TikTok, but I'm mostly active on Instagram.
Hmm. Hmm. And not to worry, I'll have all of your details in the description. So if you didn't catch that while we are talking, you will be able to find it in the description below. Lina,
Yes.
it was such a pleasure. I hate to say goodbye to you because I want this to go on and on and on, but yeah, let's move on with our day. Thank you for taking the time to have this beautiful conversation with me. I truly, truly, truly appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the space and opportunity to share this concept. I really appreciate it. So, thank you.
Thanks for riding along with me on the healing train. I hope today's journey brought you a little more peace, insight, and maybe even a few smiles. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and share so others can hop on board and benefit too. If you are on a healing journey and want to work with me, connect on Facebook or on Instagram at R2R Coaching. All the links are in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a stop on the healing train journey. And until next episode, keep on healing you.